My Carolina Panthers unfortunately have fallen to 0-2 after losing in a very anticlimactic fashion to the New Orleans Saints 20-17. So as I do each and every week, I'm going to give you all a few awards for a few performances that I saw put forth out there on the field, and we're going to get into all of that right after this.
I'm from the foe, you dig?
Welcome to The Way I See It with Jamario Rashad. This is a Carolina Panthers fan channel. Please do me a favor by hitting the like button, and please make sure you subscribe as I am on my road to 3K, trying to make sure my channel continues to grow as these games play out this season. Now that that's out of the way, let's go ahead and get to the first award. And I'm going to be honest with you all. Usually I give out at least 2 or 3 of these when we lose because I think the blame can be spread around. But this week, the sole winner, the only winner, the sole perpetrator, the sole recipient of the "You Should Have Stayed Your Ass in the Locker Room" award goes to head coach Frank Reich. I don't understand the choice in the play calling, the personnel, i.e. I don't understand what the hell this offense has done through 2 weeks, but I am going to keep it to this game. I do not understand the infatuation that this guy, and I'm assuming Deuce Staley, who had a lot to do with the guy coming here, have with Miles Sanders. He has struggled 2 weeks in a row. I know by the end of last week, he had an okay game, but this week was completely unacceptable. He had 17 touches for 46 yards. Now, we had Chuba Hubbard and Laviska Shenault, who essentially are playing running back 2 and running back 3 right now. Those guys are averaging over 7 yards per carry collectively behind this offensive line that people are trying to convince me has been struggling. That's absolute bullshit. Chuba Hubbard only touched the ball 7 times and he had 50 yards. Laviska Shenault powered through that defensive line that had been stuffing Miles Sanders' little ass all night for on his 1 carry that he had for 7 yards. I don't understand why in the world we kept forcing the damn ball to Miles Sanders when we had other players that were certainly outplaying his ass. Now, moving on from there, I don't understand the idea to move Chandler Zavala from right guard to left guard after he played so spectacularly last week against Grady Jarrett. Why would you mess with continuity after he showed that he could be a stalwart star player in that spot? Why would you then move him and then put an unproven guy over there where you have Bryce Young just getting pressure all goddamn game? I assumed that this would just be something, or in my breakdown before this game, I said that Nathan Shepard and Cam Jordan would be a problem, possibly for the guy that we moved into the left guard spot. My dumb ass did not know that we were going to actually slide the inexperienced guy to the right side and they were just going to eat his ass up over there. I don't understand why in the hell Frank Reich is making the decisions that he's electing to make. Why is Terrace Marshall not getting the ball? We have been beating the drum for this guy all offseason. We were saying he was a Matt Rule era casualty. He still is barely even seeing the field. And in this game, even when he got on the field, he never got any goddamn targets. I don't understand what the point of that is. And then the decision making. We had several opportunities in this game that we could do a momentum changing play. We could potentially just take a shot down the field after the Von Bell interception. After, I believe, whenever we had the ball after a punt return or whatever, we were in plus territory right there at the middle of the field, and we had the opportunity with bringing DJ Chark back, our supposed speed guy, to take a deep shot down the field. Yet we were still running the fucking ball on first and 10 when we were getting stuffed essentially every fucking time. I don't understand it, Frank Reich. I don't fucking understand it. And then when the press conference comes after the game, you essentially act as if your ass is offended. You turn your nose up at the idea of, you look at the reporters as if they're stupid for even asking you if you should let or even consider letting Thomas Brown call a play or two. You act like you were just too goddamn good for that. Well, Frank Reich, I don't think so. Nobody in Panthers Nation thinks so. And guess what? Your ass should have stayed in the locker room. Congratulations. I don't care. I understand there may have been other people that didn't play well. I need for you all to understand that, man, I'm not going to pick on CJ Henderson. I'm not going to pick on Donte Jackson. For the most part, those guys held it down good enough in a bend but don't break fashion where the defense and especially the cornerbacks were not the problem. It's like essentially or like eventually rather, yes, they took the top off. Chris Olave made an amazing play and everything turned around, but they were playing solid, so I'm not electing to talk about either one of those guys this week. You can if you want to, and I totally understand, but I'm not doing it. All right, so let's move on. I don't like to keep everything all sad and negative and all that shit. So let's move over to the positives, because even through a storm, there's going to be some light that eventually shines. And in this game right here, the light that shined was the guy that is winning the first inaugural Roman Reigns Acknowledge Me Award. We have Frankie Louisville continues to be an absolute monster. 5 total tackles, 2 sacks. But what I want to talk about in particular is the 1 sack he had from his inside linebacker position where he came in like a missile and blew up the right guard and got to Derek Carr and slammed his ass to the ground like he was a rag doll. Frankie Louisville is an absolute monster, and at the end of this season, I expect that he will get the acknowledgement that he deserves. He will get some type of all-pro, some type of acknowledgement for this outstanding play that he has put up for over a season now. So for all of those reasons, we got the oohs. Frankie Louisville winning the first inaugural Roman Reigns Acknowledge Me Award. Let's go. Let's go, Frankie. If don't nobody else shout you out because everybody else goddamn bitching about the game, I'ma still shout you out, Frankie. I'm still gonna shout you out, man. So moving on to our final award, which honestly isn't necessarily an award, but I do feel as though this guy deserves an honorable mention. As I talked about earlier in the video, we are down Jaycee Horn, and our starting cornerbacks are 2 guys that other teams would probably laugh at if they came into camp and expected to make their roster. Honestly, what they did in this game is something that I have to say was pretty impressive. Yes, there were plays. Yes, there was one big splash play that CJ Henderson gave up to Chris Olave on that amazing play. Yes, Donte Jackson did give up a lot of slant plays to slant man Michael Thomas, but in the end, none of those drives actually ended in points, not because of those guys. Yes, that one play was the catalyst to a momentum shift, but throughout the game with these 2, less than stellar guys on the outside, I believe Ejiro Evero's his defense did play pretty well, and it would have held up a lot better if they weren't forced to constantly be out there on the field due to the lack of a progressive offense on the other side of the ball. The offense wasn't able to stay out there for any time. The defense stayed on the field a majority of the game as the offense remained pedestrian, 3 and outs here, barely getting past midfield. But his unit up into the 4th quarter, you got to think about over 45 minutes into the game is when they finally broke through and allowed some points. I believe although the run defense definitely does need some work, what Ejiro Evero was able to do in this game with such a lack of an offense is to be commended, and it is respectable. So for that reason, I am giving Ejiro Evero, the defensive coordinator, the honorable mention award for week 2 against the Saints. Congratulations, Ejiro Evero. But yeah, man, those are my thoughts, or those are my awards for this week. I probably had a lot more to say. I probably could have went a lot more in depth, but I want to focus in solely on the coaching as of right now, I know a lot of people are going to just say, Bryce didn't play well. I can agree that Bryce did not have the best game. He looked actually closer to bad in some situations, but he did show that potential that everybody anticipates that he does have in many spots throughout the game, and the good did outweigh the bad. So I'm not still going to hone in on him in like only the second game of his career, as I'm sitting here and watching this coaching staff essentially in my eyes fail him. I can't choose to talk about Bryce, but I will admit, being objective, and like I'm not somebody that's against being objective. Yes, Bryce did struggle in this game. Yes, Bryce did not help in this game at all. But most of the blame, in my opinion, should go on the coaching staff, specifically Frank Reich, who chooses to be the pseudo offensive coordinator and call all the plays as well, man. But with that being said, man, what do you all think about this week's awards, man? Who do you think was worthy of one? Who do you think should have kept their ass in the locker room? Who do you think played well, man? Whatever you all think, leave your comments down in the comments section. I will be sure to chop it up with you there. But until next time, I am Jamario Rashad. This is the way I see it, and I'm out. Peace.